Welcome everybody, it is Shania X Trotter and welcome to my new YouTube series, Beyond 707, a literary and symbolic exploration of Nana. So this is not the only series I will be doing because honestly I could do this for everything that I watch or read. But I wanted to start with Nana because I love Nana Down and I feel like it's so realistic and it's such a great coming of age story that it's just the perfect one to start off with. So since this is basically going to be like a class, no rude or hateful comments, okay? We have to understand that we can agree to disagree. We have to also understand that there is no one absolute truth. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to have a different thought process. Everybody's going to have different opinions. Everybody's going to have different life experiences. No rude comments, no hateful comments, or you will be removed from the classroom. Also, this is an interactive class, so let's go ahead and you guys can comment things that you would like to, tackle next. And give your opinions, even if it's different from mine. You have to understand we're all going to have different opinions. I do not expect people to agree with me all the time because we're not the same person with the same experiences. It just is what it is. Share your opinion, share your thought process. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I wanted to start the class off with what is sociology, okay? It's the scientific study of how people interact in social groups, organizations, societies, etc. So we're studying people, and remember the scientific study, all right? So when we look at the how or why something is happening, we're not just pulling it out of thin air, right? We're doing the scientific method, okay? It's a science. Now I want to get into macro and micro level because we're going to be talking about this a lot. So when I say, oh, we're talking about a macro level, right? I'm talking about the studies of like large scale social systems. So things like big, like religion or a whole society, schools or prisons, things like that, big things, right? When we're talking about micro level, which we will be talking about a lot in Nana. Why? Because it studies small scale interactions, like a face-to-face conversation, a relationship between just two people. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so we're about to get into the fun part, the theoretical perspectives, okay? So what is a theory, really quickly? It's just a way to explain a particular phenomenon. We are going to be analyzing Nana K and Takumi's relationship through these four perspectives, just so that you can understand, for one, how they work, and also get a better understanding of why Nana K and Takumi stay together. Hopefully, before you're watching these videos, you have finished the manga, or at least the anime. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in the manga after the anime, so you should probably read that if you haven't. But yeah, there's gonna be huge spoilers, so you might want to go ahead and finish that before getting to these. You don't have to like Nana K, you don't have to like Takumi, but it just, again, I always feel it's a disservice to the writer and to the writing if we don't do some deep dives and understand all these different layers of the characters and how complex they were written. I feel like Takumi and Nana K are the most complex characters in the manga or in the show, I'm not gonna lie. Now let's look at the first theory, which is going to be conflict. This is the theory that the fandom analyzes them through first and foremost, right? It's the most obvious one. Conflict theory is going to be about power and inequality, okay? A power imbalance. And we definitely see that with Takumi and Nana K. So we have Takumi. As we know, he's wealthy, he has economic and social power, right? He's famous, he's successful, and also he's a man in a patriarchal society, okay? He's emotionally detached and he's controlling. He has the advantage. Nana K, right? She's dependent. I was going to put emotionally dependent, but she's not only emotionally dependent, she's just dependent in general. She tends to attach herself to people and just make them her whole world, right? We see that multiple times all throughout the manga. She does this. So she is just dependent, right? She's financially weaker than Takumi. That's another thing. Him being famous, him being rich, then having this woman who is dependent but also doesn't have any money of her own. She can't seem to keep a job and she is looking for someone to take care of her. Now you have a power imbalance, right? She's emotion driven. She operates off of emotion while Takumi is emotionally detached. This is going to tie into her being dependent as well and the low self-esteem. She's also very vulnerable to any type of emotional manipulation, and we know that Takumi does this when he plays hot and cold. He does that like push-pull method. I sleep with you, right? Make you feel like, make you feel special, make you feel good, have you in the nice little penthouse suite, and then I ghost you. But it's like they have this arrangement, but still, and the reason why it's imbalanced is because she is dependent. She is emotion driven. She does have low self-esteem. And also what we can add on there, she has these abandonment issues. She's afraid of being alone. That's one of her biggest fears. And he's independent. He doesn't need people the way how Nana K needs people. This leads to Takumi controlling different aspects of Nana K's life and in their relationship. He represents like that patriarchal figure in society that provides financially but then exerts dominance with control. And then Nana K's dependency and her low self-esteem makes her vulnerable to this control. So when looking at their relationship through conflict theory, they do not have a mutual benefit. When you look at it through this lens, it thrives off of the power imbalance, okay? So with theoretical perspectives, you gotta understand it's like you're putting on a pair of glasses. And when you put on different pairs of glasses, you're able to analyze and see different things, a different perspective. So when you put on the conflict theory glasses, you're able to see the power and inequality imbalance. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put on the functionalist theory glasses, and we're gonna see why they work. So with functionalist theory, we're gonna look at the stability and roles in society, okay? How does it function in society? How does this relationship function, and how does it play its role in society as well? So first things first, marriage as social order. So we're going to look at how the relationship functions to provide Nana K and her baby with stability. That's point one. All right, we cannot deny that. Them getting married ensured the family structure as a unit. So if we're looking at marriage as a social order, then there's no negative stigma. Because you have to remember, Takumi offered to marry Nana K. He was like, you know what, if we get married, it's not going to be no big deal. Because it's going to look good for his image as well. So not only does Nana K not have to be a single mom, because we also know that single mothers in society have a negative stigma around them compared to a woman who's married and has a child. It's more of a positive thing. Like, oh, it's a beautiful thing. And let's be real, we see this on TikTok all the time, on social media all the time. A woman who isn't married can be talking about how they, got pregnant, or how her and her boyfriend got pregnant. And you'll have people in the comments, the first thing they'll say, oh, and no ring. Oh, and no ring. Oh, so sad. When are we going to start bringing back getting married before having kids? Right? Negative stigma. This is automatically keeping that social order. And Takumi even says that with his image. Because now instead of him having a baby mama, right, just sleeping around getting these women pregnant, now he's a loving father, who's, married to his wife, and he's so in love with his wife, they're having a baby. And this perpetuates that social order, prevents negative stigmas, and pushes the narrative of like that nuclear family. So now we have the emotional and economic interdependence as well. Now we just see how it serves its purpose. Takumi is the financial security. We know that. And Nana K is the emotional labor and the caregiving. So as the baby's growing up, she's going to be the one with the emotional labor. She's going to be the one doing the caregiving. She's also going to be providing that emotional labor even for Takumi as well. Because at the end of the day, when he's had a stressful day and he wants to lay up and do whatever, she's there. She has to bear that as well. Their relationship plays a functional role in maintaining social expectations of family life. Like I said, keeping like that nuclear family where it's a husband, a wife, and children. Boom. And this also reflects that social structures often reinforce staying unhappy in a relationship for the sake of the kids and for the sake of the family image and stability. And society also tends to push women to prioritize stability and stay in these unhappy relationships so that they can have stability rather than being alone. It pushes women to be unhappy. Like, you'd rather be unhappy than to be alone and struggling. This also shows on a macro level how men and women are socialized differently. How men, talk to me, right, is socialized to be the breadwinner, to just be that financial security, while women on a macro level are also taught to be the emotional labor and the caregivers, right, and the nurturers. And so this also shows how that influences people on micro levels as well. Now we're going to talk about symbolic interactionism. So this one is going to be all about symbols and meanings and identity. So let's start off with Takumi. So he serves as a symbol of security for Nana K. He represents stability, maturity, and financial security, right? Nana interprets his actions as a form of care, even though he's emotionally detached. This is huge because although on the outside looking in, we could be like, girl, can't you see he's ghosting you? Or girl, can't you see he don't really give a damn about you? And it's funny because even in the manga, even when they're about to hook up for the very first time, we see her in a monologue. Like, she's like, why am I doing this again? Why am I putting myself in this certain type of predicament again? Like, I know he has other girls. I know he don't really like love me or nothing like that. But she was just like, you know, well, F it, since I'm here. Like, she's like, I don't really know why I do this. But she's self-aware. She knows what she's doing, but she's choosing to still do it. But she's like, hey, well, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I might as well enjoy myself. But later on, we see that even though he's cold, she accepts and interprets his actions as care. On the outside, it could be obvious for us of like, girl, he's just manipulating you. And I'll say manipulating in the sense of like that emotional manipulation of like, oh, I don't want you with anybody else, Nana. After getting little boy at the club, Shinobu going back to her, making again his actions making it seem like he cares, rather than her being able to see that he was just jealous. Of course, she didn't know what happened at the club that night, but even so, he had ghosted her. He was already back in town. He said she was going to be the first person she was going to see, and he didn't come. And she was just like, wow, he just forgot about me, whatever the case is. And then after the stuff at the club happened, that's when he showed up and was like, I don't want anyone else to have you, only me. So she interpreted that as he cares. Even though he ghosts me, even though, you know, he doesn't be answering my texts or calls, whatever the case is, he cares about me. So this one is big because it shows how people give meanings to certain symbols, all right, or to certain things that happen, and that's how they interpret it. And this is why they can work really good, because Nana K interprets things differently than you and I. Or maybe she interprets things exactly the same as you. Maybe that's why some people can really relate to her, or even relate to her at a certain point in their life, right? But the point of the matter is it's about how they interpret it. This is a side note. This is also why I always say we don't want to insert ourselves too much to where we can't at least analyze or try to understand the characters. Sometimes you have to insert yourself and put yourself in the character's shoes to better understand them. But I feel like if you're inserting yourself too much to where now you cannot understand these characters, or now you cannot analyze objectively, or you cannot see different perspectives, then at that point it's a little bit too much self-insertion, because we're not talking about you when we analyze these characters. We're talking about them and how they interpret things, right? So just remember that. When we talk about Nana K and what she represents for Takumi is loyalty and devotion as well. We have to also think about her name, Hachi. Why did Nana O give her that nickname of Hachi? Because she was obedient, like a dog. When we think of dogs, they're the most loyal. And we see that in the manga, Takumi crashes out multiple times when he sees that her devotion and loyalty is wavering to him. Because she represents that. She came on extremely strong. We have to remember Nana K's personality. She makes somebody her whole entire life, her whole everything, when she's centering them. This also reinforces his image as a provider when he has somebody depending on him, somebody who's centering him that hard. Boosts his ego as well. So he believes he's fulfilling his role as a financial provider, and that's all he feels like he needs to do. Because even think about like when Reira wanted this relationship, even though again he didn't see her in that way, and then he sleeps with her and she's like, that's not what I wanted. And he's back to business acting like nothing happened. She's like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a romantic relationship with you. I wanted romance. I wanted, you know, love. And he's just like, I don't know what you want from me. What do you want from me? For real. He's really blunt. He's really just straight to the point. He's not really with the romance. I'm making money. I'm going to work, and when I come by, I really want this one thing. But he feels like he's providing. I got a roof over your head. Even if we don't stay together, I'm gonna pay child support for my child. What else? That's how he feels. He looks at marriage as a duty and responsibility. I saw some comments where somebody were like, do you think that Takumi has other kids? I don't think so. Not that he knows of. And the reason why I say this is because Takumi, from what we've seen, he takes it on as a duty or responsibility. I'm going to take care of my kid. Now, when he said, no, Nobu, I'm going to take care of this kid, whether it's yours or mine, he was trying to little boy Nobu. But we do see that he's like, no, I look at this as a responsibility. I'm going to take care of my kid. He looks at it as marriage as a symbol of legitimacy. Because we also see this as well, like I said earlier. When he was like, oh, well, we got to get married. Because you're pregnant now, so we got to get married. It's gonna be fine. You're not really famous, so people shouldn't be talking about it too long, because that's good for the image. Now it's like, oh my gosh, Takumi, oh, he loves his wife, he has a beautiful family, oh, he's such a family man. And Nana K, remember when she saw Shoji at that bar and she was like, oh yes, like, yes, I'm with Takumi Ichinose from Trap Nest. Like, oh yes, look at me, look at this ring, look at all this. She looks at this as commitment and success. It gives her value and security. She also looks at this marriage as a symbol of escape from loneliness. That's her biggest fear, right? Of being alone. So this marriage is not only legitimacy for her, it's not only security and status, it's also an escape. But it's also that commitment too. Like, cool, I made it. I got what I wanted. So she's interpreting it this way. When we get on the topic of the essay between them, right, perpetuated by Takumi, this is where it gets a little messy, because people who especially have these real life experiences, they start to insert themselves in their personal situation. And now they no longer care about all this. Now they no longer care about all the different perspectives. Now they no longer care about how Nana K can benefit and why she stays and why she had a second child. They don't care about all of that. They don't care about how complex the characters are, because they're just like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. When it does matter, though, because we're talking about micro level. We're talking about them two. We're not talking about you. We're not talking about your friend. We're not talking about macro level. We can talk about how macro levels structures, like in just society structures, tend to influence these micro level situations, but we don't want to say we're talking about them and then start zoning out from them and start talking about everybody else. That's what we don't want to do, because now we cannot have a conversation about just these two people on a micro level. So let's keep it micro. Just remember that. Now, going into this next one of how they both benefit, right? So this one is about interpreting. How do they see each other? But this next one, social exchange theory, is going to be talking about the cost and benefits of the relationship. It's going to be looking at the relationship like a transaction. But to wrap up, symbolic interactionism is just basically showing how people attach different meanings to things like love and commitment and relationships. This is why people will be like, oh, well, that's not love, or that's not a relationship, or that's not healthy, or that's not, like, again, we attach different meanings, or that's not commitment, right? Some of y'all are like, I don't see how it can even be used as a symbol of a commitment, because he's cheating on her. Now, I don't think he's cheating on her just because from the very get-go, she already knew she was never the only girl. I feel like, and if cheating, it could, you, even if you're in a poly relationship, you can still cheat, right? But I feel like cheating is when the other person did not agree or did not know about other people, and then you go out and do that and you step out on them, compared to you was already outside. You get me? You was already outside. This other person, Nana K, is stepping in. You never stepped out because you were already outside. You get what I mean? And she was just like, again, she said, I don't care if he has other women as long as I'm his number one. Okay, cool. So to me, at that point, he wasn't cheating. She always knew she was never the only one. It was always, I just want to be his number one. Okay? But because of our personal experience as well, now me, I'm looking at what's going on in the manga. But sometimes from our personal experiences, we attach different meanings to what everything is. Because you got to also remember, everything's a social construct. What is cheating? What is commitment? What is love? These are all abstract ideas, and we really want to break that down. And we as a society create those meanings for what that is. Just like how money was a different thing so many generations ago. And paper didn't really mean nothing. Now paper means a lot. Where in the future, it might not even be paper. It might be digital. All right, y'all, so here is the last theory, and before I get started, I just want to say, if y'all like what y'all see and y'all want to see more, go ahead and like and subscribe, and go ahead and comment how y'all felt about this video, if you learned something new, if your perspective changed, or if you also caught something when it pertains to the theories or even their relationship that I didn't happen to add. So let me know, because we all can learn from each other. With the social exchange theory, it's talking about costs and benefits, and it's looking at these relationships as a transaction, which I believe is a better word for Takumi and Nana K rather than just relationship. I feel like it's an arrangement. It's a transaction. It's a give and take. So with Takumi, he gives material wealth and gets control and loyalty and even respectability. But when it comes to some of the costs, right, he loses freedom to be completely unattached, because now he does have to worry about Nana K when it comes to things. Like, even remember when things were happening with Nana O and Blast and the paparazzi, and now Nana K's freaking out. He's trying to keep a level head, and remember, he was like, can you just shut up? Like, this doesn't involve you. And she was like, actually it does involve me. Like, what's wrong with you? Or there's something seriously wrong with you? And they got into that whole little thing. But again, now he has to worry when things hit the fan. He has to worry about Nana K's feelings, when he was just able to move around freely and not have to worry about anybody's feelings but himself. So he loses that ability to be completely free and free of, emotional attachments. Also, to that point, the fact that he starts to develop feelings for Nana K. This is why I would love to see the manga finish, just because I want to see how that develops. Because if we see before the time skip that he's like telling Ren, I don't know why I feel like this. Like, am I starting to catch feelings? You feel me? And Ren's like, yeah, maybe you like her more than you think. And then after the time skip, even though they're living separately, he's helping her find Nana O. And you got to remember, he looked at Nana O as like a rival. Every time Nana K, he saw her devotion and loyalty waver from him to Nana O, he always felt the need to exert his dominance and essay her in that way. So for him to be going out of his way to help find her, it makes me think, like, okay, well, how much have those feelings developed since the time skip? When you have that, and you have somebody in your orbit, you have somebody in your space, you have somebody having your child, okay? Yeah, you may catch some feelings. What does he get? What's the benefit? He gets a devoted wife. He gets a stable family, a good family image and environment, because we also know he had a broken home. And he always said he wanted a better home environment for his child than the one that he had. In that argument, she was like, there's something seriously wrong with you. And he was like, you think so? Okay, cool. You can just be with your family then, and I'll just pay child support, because if the father's messed up, the kid's going to be messed up too. And he feels that way about himself. Since his father was messed up, I believe his father was an alcoholic, he feels like that also messed him up as well as his family structure. So he's like, well, if the mother of the child feels like I'm messed up, let me not be around the child, because I do not want to ruin that child's life. But with that, he still gets emotional distance. Now, although we do see it starts to get a little murky, he starts to feel some stuff, he still gets to be out and about, still working, hit her up when he comes by, like come by the house when he can, still with other women. But again, he gets to do that because Nana K will accept that. Not all women will accept that kind of behavior. But Nana K from the get-go was like, I don't care. I already know he has other women. I just want to be his top woman. So now Nana K, she gains financial stability, social acceptance and status, okay, and a family unit, because she doesn't have to be a single mom. And she doesn't have to worry about struggling. She doesn't have to worry about being alone and not finding her person. You got to understand how deep that was for her. Not only that it was Takumi Ichinose, a super handsome, famous, wealthy person, her favorite person on the Trap Nest band. We meet Nana K warping her whole life and image and persona to find somebody, to get picked by somebody. So even though it happened in this extremely messy way, she finally is getting picked. She's finally getting picked. And she doesn't have to worry about being alone anymore. Now, what does it come with though? What are some of the costs? Lack of emotional fulfillment, because she knows she would have been fulfilled emotionally more by Nobu than she is with Takumi. She did have some loss of freedom when it came to her decisions. Now, we can always say how, yeah, he didn't have her with no ball and chain. And yeah, he did say, hey, you don't got to stay here. You can go with your parents or do whatever you want to do. And I'll pay child support. But she did have some loss of freedom with her decisions. Because, and here's the thing, even when it comes to the SA, right, and the abuse in that way, even though he didn't have her on no ball and chain, when she decided to go to that birthday party, Reiwa's birthday party, right, and he found her with Nana O, what did he do? Again, forced himself on her, right? Same thing that he did when she said she didn't want to do this. When the cups broke, remember at the apartment, she was like, no, what if Nana hears? Got mad, boom, forced himself on her. So again, lack of freedom with decision making. She can't make her own decisions. She can't even tell him no. What?
So if I say no to having sex tonight, like, and for whatever reason, however you feeling, because you mad that my focus is somewhere else, because that got you feeling less than a man, that got you feeling out of control, because you like to have control over people and situations. Now that got you feeling like you lost control. Because let's be real, that whole situation with Nobu, he was feeling like he had no control. He said, okay, so you're pregnant. Oh, but it could be my boyfriend's boyfriend. He had no control over that situation, and that's why he had to shift gears, lock her into the restroom, take her phone, and go ahead and be in control of the situation. Be level-headed and cool-headed. Oh yeah, our little Nana's pregnant. Yeah, you should come over and do this, that, and the third, as if he knew the whole time or something. Like, they, you get me? No, he was a little frazzled. He was a little frazzled. The fact that she pulled him on him, he was like, oh, wait, the one that pressed me at the club, the one that I was trying to prove a point to, the one I came over that night with you got with him anyway? Nana, you really aren't all that sweet. Oh, okay. He was out of control, and he don't like that. He don't like not having control in the situation. That's why he felt the need to little boy Nobu and to take control. He had no right to do what he did. Let's be real. When he locked her in the room and was the bearer of that news, he knew what he was doing. I do agree that Nobu should have known. What Nana K wants to do with her body is what she wants to do with her body. But he could have easily been like, call him up. Pass her the phone and call him up. No, call him up right now. Would have been like, kind of cool, forcing her to do it. But still, I feel like it just would have been better if it would have came from her to Nobu and to Nana O instead of from Takumi. He knew he was out of control. He didn't like that. Again, she does lack freedom in decision making, because now it's like, damn. So yeah, you said I could go hang out with my friends from Blast, whatever the case is, but okay, it just depends. Now you consider this a work matter, and because Nana K's life is so woven into what he considers work life, her friends are also the opposing band. Like she don't have nobody except for like Junko outside of all of this mess. So at one point, he decides, oh no, this is a business thing. I don't want you over there. And she just happens to go anyway because she want to see her friends who's going to be there. Now she has to worry about facing his wrath. But she stays. When you're looking at social exchange theory, it's saying that she's looking, and both of them are looking at the benefits more than the cost. They're looking at, hey, the benefits outweigh the cost, so that's why I'm staying. If the benefits did not outweigh the cost, they would not be staying there. There would be no relationship. Right? So they look at this as, I'm benefiting from this exchange more than I'm losing. So that's why I stay. Same thing like even when you look at a job. Like, oh, I hate this job. My feet hurt, my back hurt, this, that, and the third. But I'm benefiting by money, by being able to put stuff on my resume, by experience, all this type of stuff. I got to pay rent. I got to pay bills. I'm benefiting. The benefits is more than the cost. Social exchange theory. With this theory, we could also look at the fear of the unknown versus familiarity. Nana K's fears of being alone, abandonment, and struggling, those fears make her reluctant to leaving. So that is another reason why, she's not going to leave. Not only because of the benefits, but also because of these fears of the unknown. Like, what am I going to do if I don't have this security? What am I going to do if I have to do this alone? Because we see how she was doing alone on her own anyway, and now she's going to have a whole child to take care of. You also have Takumi benefiting from the fact that Nana K is dependent. She lacks self-esteem, and she's fearful of these things, so therefore she's not going to really challenge him. So they both make these calculated decisions based off of what they think is going to be the best for them long term, and that's why they stay, because they both believe they're getting the best deal possible. All right, so this is the conclusion of our first class of Beyond 707, a literary and symbolic exploration of Nana. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what y'all thought about the first class. Let me know other things that y'all want to talk about. Drop your thoughts in the, I was about to say thoughts in the chat. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And definitely, if you don't follow me already on TikTok, go ahead and follow me on TikTok at Shania X Trotter as well. And let me know what y'all want to see next.